Welcome to the No Weapon Shall Prosper podcast. I'm here today with my friend Melissa. We met in high school and we've been friends all these years. And she has recently gone through an ordeal last year where she almost lost her life. And so we're going to talk about that. But to start, I have my Jane Austen mug, and I went to the farmer's market this weekend, and I found this really cute little tea and coffee place called Grains of Sense, and I
Mm.
bought an almond amaretto flavored black tea. So I'm trying that for the first time today, and it's really, really delicious. So, Melissa, what are you drinking?
Well, I do have a fantastic lemon tea that I love to drink. However, this morning was very chaotic. And so my husband was nice enough to get me this horrible for you, but very effective sugar-free Red Bull.
There you
It's,
go. At least
it's
it's sugar free.
it's a Red Bull morning, y'all. That's just kind of how it goes sometimes.
There we go. There we go. All right. Well, you just showcased one of your hands. We're going to be
Oh,
talking about
yeah.
that.
Well,
You
that's so cool.
are a quadruple amputee.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
So life changed dramatically for you last year.
it did.
So what month did this happen?
Well, when I went into the hospital, it was June 4th.
Okay.
The original kind of catalyst for this, we had a barbecue,
Hmm.
and it was because we had not had a get together when we got married, other than the ceremony and reception. But for the wedding party, we were going to, and then I got strep throat. So obviously, we could not have people over when I was sick. So
And your wedding was in March, right?
yes. So wedding was March 29th, but we ended up having to wait until May 31st because of how chaotic things were. So
Yeah.
May 31st, we had a little barbecue at our house. And then we're an animal family. So we have dogs and we have cats. And so my friends wanted to bring their dogs over. It was only two friends that wanted to, so it was like, oh, two extra dogs. That's not a big deal. So I put ours up in the bedroom, and then there were a couple of we have a kennel for them if they need to go in it for a bit. But it had been a while, and one of them needed to go to the bathroom, so I brought him out. But I was holding him so he could go to the bathroom, and I had a friend that had a probably like a 7 month old husky and what is that? German Shepherd mix. And he was very well behaved. I said, this should be fine. Um, so I was holding my dog and just, they seemed like they were going to do okay. So I kind of let go and I was like watching, ready to grab, and he seemed good. So I was like, okay. So my dog kind of went off, and Argus was the other dog. He was kind of across from me a little bit, across the yard. Well, I ended up moving to the middle between Jasper, my dog, and Argus, because there was a table. We were doing stuff with food right out there, and my dog decided that that was too close to Argus, so he started going after Argus, and I was like, "Oh, I have time. Let me grab him real quickly." So I turned my hand around to grab him because it was like behind me. Um, I was a little too quick, and I ended up putting my hand in my dog's mouth. And of course, he was like mid bite. He did a really good job of like, like, oh no. And then he's kind of tried to stop, but he did technically break the skin, barely, but he broke the
Hmm.
skin. And I washed it with soap and water and moved on with my day, thinking nothing of it. So that started on May 31st. And then um, June 3rd, I was subbing for a summer school teacher in teaching science. So I was teaching and I went, oh no, I feel like I'm getting sick. It just felt like your normal cold. And it happened so fast. Excuse me. I was so sick later, like in a matter of 24 hours. I was so sick. So I got through the day and on the 3rd. And then the next morning, I woke up and my husband said, hey, do I need to stay home from work today? And I was like, no, bye. And no, I didn't feel good, but I'm a teacher, so I go to work sick more than I should probably because it's just easier. And I was the sub, so that's why I was like, I don't really want to call in. My husband's like, well, you could fry an egg on your head right now. And I was like, no, I'll be okay. I'll just take some ibuprofen. Sorry. I just like I think about how funny it is now, but it wasn't great at the time.
Well,
But
right, but you think you're just dealing with some normal cold or flu or whatever. Like this
yeah.
is what you're used to. You just pop some painkillers and go about your day. You're a
Yep.
mom too. Like you do what you got to do.
Yes, you have to.
Yeah.
So I guess I was used to just doing that like survival, get through the day mode.
Yeah.
And this was kind of cool. We were building some things like with marble runs and stuff like that, and talking about like the forces at work and all that.
Hmm.
So it was pretty easy. The kids did a lot of the work themselves, so I was like, oh, I could do this. And then so that was at about 3:30 in the morning because my husband had a landscaping job, so he had to go to that. And about like 5:30, like before 6, I realized very quickly that I was heading south very fast. It's hard to describe how fast it happened. Like
Hmm.
I woke up and I did take a picture of my cheeks. They're very red, like super red. And I was like, oh man, I have a fever. And then I was like debating, should I call in? So I texted the director of the summer school program, and she's like, no, that's okay. You stay home. I've got someone that can cover it. And I was like, okay, good. So I went and took my ibuprofen thinking it was going to help. And nope, I was still getting worse. So about 9 o'clock in the morning, I texted my mom, and I'm not super close with my mom. So you need to understand that this was a big deal to,
Yeah.
to reach out to my mom because I knew my husband was at work and he couldn't leave. And I was like, hey, I think I need to get a ride to the emergency room. I do not even feel like I can drive. So she picked me up and I could barely walk. I got into the emergency room entrance and they were trying to get me to fill out paperwork. I just started throwing up. And,
Mm.
and then I think my mom got me a wheelchair. And I very, very distinctly remember one of the clinical staff members. I don't know if she was a nurse or a tech or whatnot, but she came over and she's like, you can't do that here. It's unsanitary. I was like,
Like
I
throw
was,
up?
yeah, yeah, because I had
Because I
thrown
meant
up.
to.
Yeah, I
Like,
was like, this is not really in my control, but I'm sorry.
right.
Yeah, so they actually made me sit for a little bit, and I was like, I thought I was gonna pass out. Like I was just laying in the chair, like my arms were just like hanging, and I was like, oh my gosh, just end it now. I can't. And they finally brought me in and realized very quickly that I was in full septic shock. I don't remember. I never looked at the notes, so I don't know exactly how high my fever was, but
Mm.
my husband told me it was very high. So while that was happening, they told my mom that they were going to take me immediately back because I was in septic shock. So my mom called my husband and he came immediately. And when I went to the emergency room, into the actual room itself, I do remember them trying to get blood, and my veins were collapsing, which is actually pretty normal for me. I have terrible veins, but I don't remember a ton after I was in that room. I remember being very hot, and I remember like having trouble breathing and just being in a lot of pain, even though I had taken the ibuprofen just a little bit
Yeah.
ago. Um, and to be honest, after that, I only remember bits and pieces until I woke up about almost 3 weeks later. Um, there were some interesting fever dreams in there, though.
Yeah.
Um, I will talk about those later, but
Yeah.
but the gist of it is that they had to intubate me and then put me into an induced coma. Um, my organs were shutting down, and I was in incredible pain, and I couldn't stop moving because I was trying to do things. That's my personality. As I kept trying, I'm literally dying.
Right.
And I'm trying to get stuff done. I'm like, oh, did you do this? And did you do that? And my husband's like, I couldn't believe it. You wouldn't stop moving. And so they put me in a induced coma, and that was just under 3 weeks. And when I
Mm.
woke up, I very vividly remember not. I knew I wasn't at home, but I didn't actually know where I was. I kept thinking that I was at this place that was on Ina Road that was like a care center because the windows were very homey, and I did not fully realize when I woke up that I was in a hospital. I didn't even notice my hands or my hospital gown. I just saw my two friends. I saw Denise and I saw Charity.
Hmm.
And I was like, hey, how's it going? They were like, hi. So
Yeah.
they're very slow to approach it. They're like, do you know where you are? I was like, is it that care center off Ina Road? And they're like, no, you're in the hospital. Do you remember anything? I was like, no, I remember not feeling well. And that's about it. So they didn't want to fill me in right away, but the gist of it is that um, the there were several doctors that took care of me. Many of the doctors did not think that I was going to survive this because of how far along I was in
Hmm.
the septic process. But there were a couple of doctors that were like, let's go ahead and give her the medication. Um, and so it's like a 10-day antibiotic thing to help really fight whatever infection it is. But it's hard when you don't know what caused the original infection. So we
Right.
had to scramble to figure it out. But there was one doctor who was a Christian and who my friend Denise had gotten to talk to. So they kind of realized that she was a believer. And she's like, I will do my best. God doesn't always let me save them, but I will do my best. And so she was the one that was like, okay, let's go ahead and put her in the induced coma, and let's do the intubation. She made that call. She said, I think we can save her, but she needs to rest, and her lungs need a chance to rest as well. So that's why I went into a coma. But then the medication that they gave me to save my internal organs and called pressors. So vasopressors they gave me did their job. They did save my organs, but they did it by pulling all the blood and oxygen from my extremities. So
Right.
it protected the vital organs. But unfortunately, without that blood and oxygen, I started having dead tissue on my extremities. So a lot of people know it as gangrene. There's two types of gangrene, there's wet and there's dry. The wet is the dangerous gangrene. And then the dry stuff is what I ended up happening. But of course, it could get wet very quickly. So they were talking to me 2 days after I woke up about amputations.
Mm.
Yeah. So,
Plus, I mean, your hands and feet were black. They were,
I didn't
yeah.
notice that at first.
You
I was
didn't.
just, no.
Interesting. Oh man.
Well, I was still kind of coming to reality.
Yeah.
I had been in a bed for, almost 3 weeks.
Right.
So it was just kind of like learning things again. And of course,
Hmm.
once I took the um, intubation tube out, my throat hurt and I was struggling to swallow. And we had to have a OT person come in and help me swallow. And before I could eat anything but broth, I had to show her that I could swallow yogurt and a few other things. And I was like, well,
Hmm.
this is interesting.
Well, they don't want you choking and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, I've eaten all my life, guys. Like,
Right.
I'm
A
43. I
little
can do
different
this.
though.
But I did understand why. But yeah, I didn't notice at first. It took me about 2 days before I fully realized what was going on with my extremities.
Yeah.
Even though I use them and I saw black, I didn't know what that was.
Okay.
I had a friend who came in from California, like the Berkeley area, and she flew in to see me, and she took a picture when I was asleep, and it had all this black on my nose, little black spots.
Hmm.
I was like, "What is that?" And apparently, the gangrene had started to go in my nose as well. Thankfully, it healed. It wasn't enough to stay
Yeah.
out, but but then I started learning. I started talking to vascular surgeons and started learning that this was not going to go away.
Right.
And then they did some ultrasounds, and it was very painful because they had to like squish me,
Hmm.
yeah, and just see what's going on with my legs and all the activity up in my like torso. And they just squished me and squished me, and they finally said, the doctor came in and said, nope, they're absolutely going to be amputations, digits, and a lot of stuff. And I do remember the delivery was not, uh, it wasn't sweet or patient or any of that. It was
Yeah.
very direct. And I was like,
Yeah. Oh,
so yeah, yeah. And then they told me that the risks of keeping any of my limbs with the gangrene was that it could get back in my bloodstream and then of course kill me if I wasn't in
right.
time. So I said, okay, let's chop it all off. So eventually I was able to get an appointment to go to a vascular surgeon. And he has the greatest name. Like his name is Jolly. His first name is Jolly and his last name is Schilling. It was great.
Is he jolly?
He actually is.
I
He
feel like there's some pressure to be jolly if your name is Jolly.
maybe, but I remember asking him, I was like, because he was going to do some stuff, and I can't remember right now what it was, but I think he was going to be doing something that I thought might be painful. Oh, he was going to take out the port that I had, because I didn't need it anymore. And I asked him if it would hurt, and he goes, "Well, it's not going to hurt me a bit." And so that kind of sums up his personality.
That's funny.
Yeah. So he made me feel pretty good when something awful was happening, and I just
Yeah.
was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the the rest of the story is blurry, and I only remember what I've been told.
Hmm.
Um, so when I had signed up for the school district, years ago, I had nobody to put as like a beneficiary to anything. Um, so I put my friend Denise, who was my insurance agent, as well as my friend. So I
Hmm.
made her my power of attorney as well. Best decision I could have ever made. I love my husband, but he doesn't do well in these kind of situations, especially when he was so, um, what's the word? He just went into a really great depression. So it was very hard to
Yeah, I can
make
imagine.
choices. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, his wife, who he hadn't even been married to for two months,
Yeah.
was he was being told she was going to die. But
Yeah.
the story is that they put me on the 10-day medication, told my friends and family that they should go ahead and make my arrangements because I wasn't going to make it. On day 7, they wanted to pull all the life support off. And my friend Denise, very calmly, she's just a very calm person. She said, well, it's a 10-day regimen of medication. So let's see where we are on day 10. And thank goodness for her, because my husband couldn't even handle, like, he was taking care of my kids, the house,
Yeah.
trying to work 40 hours a week. He was pushing himself so hard. So my friend Denise handled all the, doctor stuff. And of course, he asked a few questions, but she made a lot of the decisions. And thankfully, she did, because I don't know, my husband probably would have not had the energy to fight the doctors. But
Hmm.
the doctor that was the Christian, that she had gone on her days off, so it's like 5 on, 5 off. So she finally came back and was like, "Oh, actually, look, there's a little bit of improvement." And so the next day there was a little bit more improvement, and then they finally decided that I was going to live. And so it was on day 8 that I really started showing any signs of my levels get improving. But up until then, I mean, Denise made my funeral arrangements. She paid for everything for me.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
yeah. And then I went ahead and lived, and she goes, "This woman." I know. I was like, I know. I'm always here to ruin your plans. That's what I do. But yeah, that's the kind of gist of the story. And then, you know, there were things that I probably could have saved on my left leg, because the gangrene was mostly in my heel and my toes.
Hmm.
But I had been put in contact with the quadruple amputee that was a teacher. Her name is Lisa. And I asked her, and she said, well, it's your decision, but I do want to point out that I've had to have some corrective surgeries because I didn't do all of it right away. And I went, oh, okay. And I talked to someone else in the hospital, and they said, I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you there's a lot of risk if you
Hmm.
keep it all. And I said, you know what? I'm already going to have one leg amputated, and I can't really walk on this one because I won't have my heel. So I'm still going to need prosthetics or something. So why don't we just make it both of them? Go ahead and amputate them. They're what's called below the knee amputations. So about where my calf is, a little higher, that is where they went ahead and amputated the legs. The surgeon did a fantastic job. I had zero infections. It
Hmm.
was a great experience. The first surgery was a little rough because I ended up having to have my this hand, sorry, not use this one. So this hand, you can see I don't have a thumb.
Right.
So what happened with that is that I don't know how to turn this so I can see. I don't know. Anyway, you can kind of see, it's really
Yeah.
hard to twist it. You can kind of
Hmm.
see that right, oh, this is what I should do here. You can kind of see,
The camera's following your face.
okay. Anyway, my thumb was very infected, but
Yeah.
so was my right. So they actually did those two at the same time, but to not increase the odds of infection, they
Hmm.
did what's kind of like a tourniquet style on my right leg. So it wasn't completely closed up. They just kind of left it open air and then covered it. So
Hmm.
I'll tell you what, that was the worst pain in my
Oh,
entire life. And I've had three
wow.
children.
Right.
Yes. But once we got that squared away and had the revision surgery a week later, it was much better. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah. Well,
healing's
and
good.
I remember it was supposed to be four separate surgeries, right?
Yes.
Like for each one for each limb, and they
Yep.
were able to put a couple in at the same time. So that's great.
Yep.
Just to minimize surgeries. And then I remember just being, because obviously, like nobody knew how much you were going to lose of what. And I was so grateful on your behalf that you got to keep like so much of your right hand and your thumb and
Oh,
like
yeah.
being right-handed. Like, oh my gosh.
I have my full thumb and then I also have my full pinky. So it looks like I have my full middle finger, but I don't. It was
Hmm.
kind of cool. They scooped out, well, I don't know how what I'm doing. They scooped out the gangrene that was just the tip, and then
Okay.
he left a small piece of nail that's grown so much. It's a weird, funky nail, but I still have a nail that can be painted, and
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah. And I'm sure that's really helpful in like life.
yes. Yes,
Yeah.
it is actually. If I'm trying to grip something, you'd be surprised what this catches. So I think that God knew that I could handle this, but He also made sure that I had a few little wins, so I could
Yeah.
be like, "Oh gosh, I'm so grateful for this," and
Yeah.
you know,
Well, and I remember you. So, I mean, I got a call from our friend Jen like the day after you went into the hospital, and she's like, "Well,
yeah,
this is going on," and they think she's like, they don't know if she's going to pull through. Like, she wasn't supposed to pull through last night, and
yeah,
you know, like she's that's it. And so, just I mean, immediately went into just prayer constantly. We talked on the phone every single day. I'm always like, "How is she doing?" Because she's in a group text with Denise and Charity and all your, closest friends. And I was glad to have that access of like info just to,
yeah.
just tabs and be praying. And I remember we talked shortly after you woke up and you told me that like Bridget was there and she had been playing music.
Those are the
Yeah.
fever dreams. You want me to go into
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
fever
I do.
dreams?
I do. It's cool.
Wild, wild stuff. So first of all, I had it in my head somehow that in the dream I was in New Mexico. So several things happened and they took place in New Mexico, even though I was very much in Tucson. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, but one of the dreams was really cool. There was a creek out, like a little creek outside of a home. It definitely wasn't in Tucson. And that's when I started piecing together that it was New Mexico. There was
Have
a
you been to New
little,
Mexico?
I have, yeah,
Okay.
I
I was like,
have.
how random.
I don't know where New Mexico came from, but then
Yeah.
Bridget told me a story about um, how her dad was in New Mexico. And she was telling me all this stuff in the dream. And she was telling me about how one of her kids wasn't a big fan of her dad's girlfriend. So, you know, her mom had passed a couple years ago, and so he was just getting back into dating, and the grandkids weren't sure about this new girl, but apparently she is quite nice. And so the story was that one of the kids didn't get along, and she was telling me all this stuff. But the way that she greeted me in the fever dream, I could hear her exact voice going, "Hey there, friend." And then she, said, "I've been really praying for you." Now, in my dream, this was happening right outside of a house that had a lot of slate, and it was all like all stone, and it had the
Hmm.
beautiful stair entry, where we could sit on the stairs and talk. But there was a concrete picnic bench area to the left, but the creek was there, and she was telling me all about this stuff. And um, while we were talking, I heard music playing, and it was "You Are a Good, Good Father." And it was a song that I was familiar with, and it was very comforting. Well, come to find out, she was talking to me when I was in my coma. She was playing "You Are a Good, Good Father," and she was greeting me and saying, "Hi, friend." And I told her exactly what I remembered. She's like, "Yeah, that's pretty much what I said." So I was having this very listening to things that were happening in real life, but the setting was completely different.
Right.
And so it was very interesting because we had just a peaceful conversation. And I
Yeah.
really think that that was God just taking my pain away.
Hmm.
The hospital took it away by putting me um, in the coma, but I still was agitated
Yeah.
until I started having my friends talk to me.
Hmm.
I do remember a couple of times talking to my friend Denise, but apparently I got very angry with her one time and got up in her face and was like, "I need you out of here." And I was like, "I'm so sorry, Denise. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened." But yeah, so I was weird. Um,
Hmm.
I do have some dreams that were in black and white, and the best that I can see is that was probably when I was just intubated and just put under. Um, I remember somebody brushing my teeth in my dream, and that was them brushing my teeth in the ICU. It was
That
like
is so
so
crazy.
painful. Yeah. So there
Yeah.
was just a lot of in between, stuff like that. But
Hmm.
everything I could feel, certain dreams were lighter, and
Hmm.
I was more at peace. And come to find out, we kind of looked at the timeline of things, and it was during the time that they were having prayer circles for me in the lobby of the ICU, was like 15 of my friends and family. Like my friend Laurel flew from California. I had people in town, and it was just kind of wild. My son was there.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was. I have pictures now, and I go, okay, that makes sense. But I didn't know at the time it was happening. I just remember feeling very at peace.
Hmm.
And my husband, the same thing. When he talked to me, we were at the piano bench, not the piano, I'm sorry, the picnic bench, and it was very like calm. Like he's like, "I really tried to take care of you. I wish that this didn't happen." And I was like,
Yeah.
I know." And unfortunately, he did tell me in the dream, and of course in real life, that he was very angry at God.
Hmm.
Just, you didn't.
Understandable. Yeah.
Um, and it was kind of a turning point for him when he was really in that dark place. He just, he's like, "I'm angry and I don't even want to talk to him right now."
Yeah.
It's like,
That's okay. God can handle that.
yes. And so I said, "You know what? You don't have to talk to him right now. Just keep him in mind, even when you're angry, that you can talk to him like you're angry. It's okay."
Yeah.
It's like, whatever. I was like, okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, the whole experience, my friends remembered more than I do because
Right.
they were there. I was
Yeah.
asleep.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, God had a really big part in it. Just kind of keeping that peace. And I mean, obviously, with me living, I still look. The doctors look at me and they're like, "We don't know how you survived." I'm like, "Well, I do."
Yeah.
But I got the sense that they weren't believers, so I wasn't gonna
Yeah.
shove it down their throat. But they figured out with the prayer circles and the
Yeah.
ICU that that was what was going on.
Yeah. So, did you ever have you been mad at God with this at all? Is that something that you've struggled with? Which would be okay if you are or were or
I I prayed to God that He helped my husband.
yeah.
That was the hardest part of it. Wasn't me losing my limbs and the healing. I mean, I hated being in a facility, and I
Hmm.
remember crying and saying, God, why can't this be over? I knew I was going to go home eventually, but I mean, I was in facilities for 4 months.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to come home from June 4th until October 1st. So
Right.
that was hard. But I think the only time I had any sort of really negative emotion was like, I was like, why can't you help him? You helped
Yeah.
me. Why can't you help him? And I do remember a moment of clarity going, oh, you know what? I need to just step away. He knows what's going to happen. I don't know the plan. So I tried to calm myself down at that point and I was better. But yeah, I got to the point of being angry because I just
Yeah.
wanted my husband to be better. He was breaking.
Yeah. Yeah. How's he doing now?
He's better. He is still struggling with God. He now can tell me that when he talks to God, he's angry. And I keep it to myself, but I went, well,
At
we've
least he's
improved. We're,
talking.
we're talking to God.
Yeah.
So I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, no, that I get that. That makes sense. And like I said, like God can take it. God, he's got to work that out with God. And I think that God's going to bring him through that. But I just think it's incredible. I'm so grateful that you have your husband and that he
Yes.
like I know because you like told him like that you gave him an out. You guys had just been married for a
Did.
couple months.
Yep, 2 months and this happened. And then the day that I found out that I was going to have all the amputations and when life really started getting real, I was like, you really didn't sign up for this so quickly. I'm not going to be mad if you need to go, but I need you to go now versus later because I don't want to get to the point where I'm relying on you and then you decide it's too much. So decide if you want to stay or if you want to go. I'm not going to blame you if you want to go, but just do it now.
Yeah.
Um, and he told me to shut up. He was like, shut up, woman. Um, so yeah, he's been a really big help. It's still been stressful because this was very
Yeah.
traumatic for him and he hasn't properly processed the trauma.
Yeah.
But I'm still very grateful.
Yeah.
He tries to keep up with the house and deals with my very mouthy teenagers. They're 15 and 14.
Hmm.
So they're at that age, and it's just so much stuff, and I can't sit in my chair for very long. So I have to go and lay down in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And he's on like the front lines. And I'll just be like, go see your mom. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been great.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so grateful that you have him and you got a good one this time around.
That I did.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I always thought I wanted a certain type of man, and I finally just was open to it. And I was like, you know what? I was done with the dating sites, and I was like, these people are trash. Like they don't their chivalry's dead. They say they believe in God, and then they don't even go to church. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
I was just done. And so I went on to delete all my online dating stuff and there was one person left in Tucson because I'd gone through everybody. I'd even gone through Phoenix at this point, and I
Yeah.
was just like, nope, nope, nope. And then he was there, and he was in Tucson. And I was like, what the heck? One final Hail Mary shot. And then I had actually deleted my, once I got his phone number, I deleted my um, dating stuff. So that was done. But then when I started talking the first night, it was like we talked for 4 hours. Um, I was on winter break, so I could do that.
Yeah.
And he had to go to work though on like 2 hours of sleep. But yeah, then the next day he's like, I really would like to meet you. I'm like, I would like to meet you too. And I was like, can you give me your last name and your date of birth? And he was like, are you gonna look me up? I'm like, oh yes, I am. And I did. I pulled his record to see, if there's anything dangerous, and there wasn't. So yeah, that's the rest is history.
Yeah.
I went,
I didn't realize you were closing out. I was actually the exact same thing. I was closing out all the apps when I met Tim. So
yeah.
yeah, that's
God's like,
cool.
he saw my heart was just, I
Yeah.
was heavy. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I had tried and I thought, well, maybe I am just going to be alone. And I love it. Like, I didn't really mind being alone
Yeah.
most of the time.
Right.
Um, so every now and then I was like, well, it'd be really nice to have someone to go hiking with all the time. Like, that's like obligated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're my
Yeah.
significant other or something like that. But
Well, and what a gift that God gave you in this, like not only like obviously a partner for life, but you would have been going through this alone and like
yeah,
he set that up beforehand,
yeah.
And again, that's really hard on your husband and not fair. And it's not
Nope,
the whole,
not fair.
it's not fair. The whole situation is not fair. And we all go through stuff in life. And unfortunately, this is your lot. But you have like such an incredible attitude about it. And you're very positive, and it's cool to see. I think it's encouraging for people. And like you mentioned, you've got a good community of other
I do.
amputees, and I know that that's a massive help for you and for them. And
It's been an experience for me that I have come to realize is incredibly fortunate. Um, many amputees, I'm some of the online support groups, they're just talking about loneliness and just
yeah,
feeling so overwhelmed. And many stories were shared where their spouse left them
mm,
shortly after because they could not handle being a caretaker.
yeah,
Um, and so, I would mention that, like, hey, if you could find more people that are amputees in your community, they don't even need to be the same type of amputation, but they
right,
understand that loss and the grief. And, even if you are not up for counseling, at least find a community.
yeah,
And some people are like, well, how do I do that? And I was like, well, are you getting prosthetics? Because the prosthetic place is a good hub for people getting amputations. And you can
right,
say, hey, if anyone's willing to chat with me, here's my number. And the prostheticians are so good about making things happen. In fact, I am certain that God used my prosthetician as a vessel for something awesome. Um, I had been trying to get into a rehab center, an intense one that would get me going a lot faster. I tried for months and months. I jumped through hoops, got all these things, went back into home health care. So we had current notes, all this stuff, all to be denied. And then I remember making a video message to my core group of friends that communicates regularly. And I was like, guys, I am just done. I'm done with this fight, and I'm going to focus all of my energy on disability at this point. And 2 days after that happened, I got a text message from a woman named Kelly who got my information from my prosthetician and said, hey, I am a liaison for a brand new rehabilitation hospital opening up in Tucson. Before we officially open, we have to see 20 patients before we can get all the official licenses. So they need to view our practices. And so they thought the date of the inspection for Medicare was going to be today, actually. But then because the county's backed up, they moved it to March 25th. But as early as March 26th, I will be the first patient that goes there. They're going to do two patients. They're going to every 2 days they'll have someone come in. And so they kind of get their 20 in quickly. So I will be there, brand new facility, state of the art material, like all the stuff to work with, new machines that weren't even at Encompass. So that was cool. But it's
and
crazy.
at no cost, right?
No cost.
Yeah,
They can't bill my insurance because they technically aren't licensed yet. So
right.
I would not have been accepted to,
Right.
they don't take, so I'm on state insurance because I'm not working.
Yeah,
They don't take state insurance, and that's what I have. So yeah, it was awesome. But
that is incredible.
while thinking about how like amazing God is and how fortunate I've been, it has actually kind of started to mold my heart
Mm,
into I wanted to work with children, and I've always thought that children were awesome, specifically in middle school, because a lot of people, I don't know, they
middle
don't.
school's a hard age.
But you have to see that they're little people. They just aren't
Yeah.
ready for the world, but they are human. And when they come in and they're like, bruh, I was like, well, that's not my name, but what's up? Like I love them. I found with subbing last year, I found that I love them, and they're my little group that I would like to go back to. But I don't think I would be able to do it full time, just because I can't sit in my chair for very long.
Yeah.
And then the prosthetic legs, even if I'm on them, I'm only going to be on them a short time,
Hmm.
at least initially. But so I thought about this, and I thought about maybe days that I'm not helping with teaching, I want to go visit amputees that are in rehab centers, and
Yeah.
they need that community.
Yeah.
It's very tight-lipped. We don't always talk about, like, it's not like people are just bragging about knowing an amputee. It just kind of happens, you know.
Yeah.
I met I met my friend Mike, who's also an amputee. He's quadruple as well, because a former colleague of mine had been watching the story that I put on Facebook, and she said, "Oh, my son is marrying this lovely young lady, and her dad is a quadruple amputee, and he said he'd be willing to talk with you." And my prosthetician had told me about a guy named Mike, and I didn't put it together that it was the same person, but I finally talked to him, and I was like, wow, like you have to know people. You really
Yeah.
have to know people to get into this community. But it's a huge community. There's over 40 quadruple amputees in Tucson that,
Wow.
that we know of. So
Yeah.
I think that's where my heart is taking me. I do want to stay with the
Yeah.
kids, but I want to be able to visit them and just be part of their community. Because it's a really, really lonely life if you're just
Yeah.
stuck in your house,
Right.
and if you don't know about God, it's even harder.
Oh, yeah. Like navigating anything without God is,
Yes.
I don't know how people handle stuff, honestly. It
Yeah.
makes a huge difference. Um, yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you've gotten into community and that's a goal that you have to, help other people in your situation. And it's, I know it's going to make a difference in their lives. Um, Tim has a brain injury and went into the neuro ICU when he was 19 after he was stabbed in the head, right? And as a chaplain, the very first unit that he got to see in the hospital they took him to was the neuro ICU. Not on purpose, it just happened to be. And it was
Yeah.
like just this incredible, he was very emotional about it. And it
Obviously.
was this such, and he just obviously has a heart for that unit. But to be able to give hope to people and be like, hey, I was where you are. And
Yeah.
like, I've gotten through it or I'm getting through it or.
There was a nurse at TMC that took care of me for a while. And then at one point he goes, yeah, I remember that pain, talking about the phantom pains that you get
Yeah.
after your limb is gone. And I
Hmm.
looked at his hand and he showed me he was missing a finger. And I was like, how long did it take to stop the pains? He's like, well, it was a couple months. And I was like, okay. So like it was kind of nice, even just something
Yeah.
small like that. Just
Yeah.
being somebody on the other end of it that's
Right.
successful and having
Yeah.
a life.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you still have any phantom pains?
Occasionally, but I have been touching my legs more regularly. So when
Hmm.
you touch the stump, the sensation kind of helps the phantom pains.
Okay.
There's other tricks you can use with like mirrors. So you know how
Hmm.
you can set it up to make your brain think that you have a leg there. Believe
Yeah.
it or not, that's supposed to work. I never
Huh.
tried that. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
lots of different tricks that you can do to help the phantom pains. But I am on gabapentin, but I'm not on a high dose.
Hmm.
I'm hoping very soon to be able to get off of it. I have missed, even just yesterday, I missed my afternoon dose of it and went all the way until 9:30 at night. And that's when I was like, oh yes, I'm in pain.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
So
that
is the pain in all of your limbs or where
it's
is it?
oftentimes in my fingers.
Okay.
So it's not just pain, it's burning for me for this
Hmm.
particular thing. So I will have burning right here.
Okay.
And I will also have burning right here,
Okay.
especially it's really, really hard. So I'm constantly doing this when the pain is bad because I'm trying to rub it. Um,
Yeah.
and it does help a little bit. But it's a very interesting thing to have.
Hmm.
There's sometimes you get it and you're like, why am I having this? I've touched my stump. I've taken my meds. Where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Um, I have noticed that when things are incredibly stressful, my pain levels go up.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all nerve related, so
Sure. Nerves are crazy things.
that they are.
Yeah. I also wanted to touch on you loved to hike
Yes.
up, I'm forgetting the name, but over at
Tumama.
Tumamoc,
Yeah.
Tumamoc Hill, which I've done a couple times and it's pretty intense.
Mhm.
And I love that was it New Year's Eve?
It was, yeah, New Year's Eve day. So on the
Right.
31st at 6 o'clock in the morning, we met at the base of Tumamok.
Hmm.
And the base starts out pretty flat and you're walking
Yeah.
on a paved road, so it doesn't
Hmm.
feel that bad. And then you start to get the little incline, and it was killing my tibia.
Yeah.
That's the thing you have to learn is when you bend either way, to be honest with you, it's going to hurt either your calves or your tibia, just because you're putting pressure on it that you didn't have before.
Sure.
So you have to get used to it. But
Well,
I
and you're not even at a point where you're walking normally for, like very
Well,
much.
I'm not walking normally, but I mean, I had my walker, but I didn't like that I had to bend over.
Yeah.
So my last prosthetic appointment, I was getting some tips on how to use like elongate my hips and kind of just like, push out and tuck my rear end.
Hmm.
And so I tried it and I was like, okay, I think this is comfortable. And I took 5 steps without holding on to anything. I had bars, obviously, to protect me
Yeah.
in case I started to go someplace. But I took 5 steps without anything. And then shortly after I did that to get into my wheelchair, I had my husband on one side, the prosthetician on the other, and I took 3 more steps and got into my wheelchair. So it's happening.
Yeah. But it was very I can't think of the word I think, but that was quite the goal to go hiking up a hill
It
when
was
you're still
ambitious,
working
yes.
on level walking. But I love that you did it anyway, and that like I can't wait to see. Are you going to do it again next year at the same time and just kind of
I mean, I'm actually thinking about doing it before next year, but
sure? But I would like to see the difference, like from one year to the
yeah.
next, like
Yeah,
the
no, that would
massive.
be. I did about 30% of it. So, for those that don't know, the hill is only a round trip of 3 miles, but it's the
It's
equivalent of
intense.
33 flights of stairs.
Yeah, and it's switchbacks and it's
Yep.
oh man, it's
Yeah,
not a joke.
it is hard when you have legs.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
So I was very exhausted. So is my husband. My friend Courtney and her daughter Ember came, and a few others. My friend Becky and her daughter came, and so my friend Victor came. That was the biggest. You may remember Victor Acosta. He is like one of my absolute guy friends, and I've been asking for years to come and hike with me, and he would just say, "I'm not going to your Devil Mountain." I'm like, okay, fine. But he came.
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome. I love that you had support and people there doing it with you.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
started and I stopped and I started and I stopped. And I didn't go down myself at all. In fact, going up nearly killed my battery on my wheelchair. So
Oh,
yeah, so it was interesting. So I had Courtney taking turns with my husband, and they were like, it was like, Cool Runnings, that movie with the
yes.
bobsled. Like
Yeah.
that's what it felt like. But I had zero control. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, this is so cool. Oh my gosh. It was great though. We got videos of it and yeah,
Yeah.
they were just running and running and so
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing your progress on, I mean, in general, but where you can, I believe someday you are so determined you're going to get to the top just on your prosthetics and maybe a walker, but eventually maybe someday just alone on, who knows?
My goal is to hike. So I will be
Yeah.
hiking again, which will
Yeah.
require different prosthetics because with the uneven surfaces, I need something that
Sure.
is a little different. But right now I am doing the best I can. I got my legs on December 2nd
Hmm.
and it's March 1st. So the fact that I'm even walking at all without a walker or anything is kind of a big deal. So I'm
Yeah.
just gonna keep on being stubborn.
Yeah.
Some people look at it as a negative quality, but I'm like, I like being stubborn. It means I don't really quit
It's
unless I have to.
it's working in your favor, that's for sure. I think, and going through tough stuff in life, like having some stubbornness and some like determination is a good thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think being a teacher also helped with that because we talk about the power of yet, right? So in the
right.
classroom, we're like, you know what? You may not get this right now, but you don't get it yet.
Yeah.
You're going
Yeah.
to get it. And so that's kind of molded my thinking as well. Having God, having that positive mindset. I've always been a growth mindset person. And then just having like experience with, challenge and just knowing that I was going to get to the other side okay.
Yeah.
Not to say I want to make sure that I'm very clear about it. There have been hard days, very hard days. There have been
Right.
days of lots of tears and
Yeah.
just asking God, what do I do next? So I
Yeah.
don't want to put a full front that everything's been hunky dory.
Sure.
Um, I just know that I'm going to get to the other side. I
Yeah.
have wonderful support. I know God's going to give me the right plan. Like He knows what
Yeah.
it's all supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well, and he has a great way of using stuff like this that we go through for his, his glory and to help other people and if you're able to see the effect that you have on people, that's a huge, beautiful reward. And I'm sure you would take it back if you had the power. I would take it back for you.
I'm not sure, to be
Really
honest with you, really,
interesting.
because I might actually cry on this one. Um, I experienced joy on a level I took for granted before.
Mm,
I love that little things mean so much to me. And I love that I get to slow down now and connect with people in my community. Whereas I was working ridiculous amount of hours as a teacher, taking care of my kids, and I was not able to slow down and really feel that joy. They
yeah.
talk about that type of joy that you get when you're really walking with God and you're open to what he's doing. I went to church, I believed in God, but I had not experienced that joy yet.
Mm,
So, to be honest with you, there are some days I might say, yeah, I'd like to go back. But
sure.
most days I'm like, I'm supposed to do something with this. I'm not entirely sure what it looks like, but I know
Hmm.
that it looks like talking to people in my community and making
Yeah.
sure that my experience is not for nothing.
Right. That's really powerful.
Yeah.
And God's going to open doors. And when you're used by Him, it's an incredible thing. It's an
Yeah.
incredible thing. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
I get so
no.
emotional when I talk about just how I feel more than I've ever felt right now. Like I was never really a big crier, but
Yeah.
now I cry a lot because
Yeah.
I'm thankful, not because
Yeah.
I'm sad all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, oh, that's amazing. That's so good to hear. Like,
Yeah, it reminds me of that movie. I'm trying to remember the name. I think it was from God's Not Dead, but
mm,
there was a man that would say, God is great all the time, and all the time God is great. So even in the moments that don't seem great, he's still great. So the fact that you can be open enough to see it now, like that's after tragedy, that's kind of like the goal, right?
yeah. Yeah. I'd say that's a lot more than a silver lining too, because I
Yes.
think people don't understand like what that just deepness in relationship with God. does for you. And we are so much more than our bodies. Like we are, the
Mhm.
bodies are temporary and we're going to die someday and our soul lives forever. And so that's what it's like you're waking up your soul.
No, that's exactly it. My soul
Yeah.
is alive because this happened to me. So
Yeah.
while I don't love the challenge of things and I don't love not being able to reach things right now to clean in my house, I can see dust in places that I would like to not have dust, but that is small
Yeah.
compared to the fact that I'm getting to completely feel that joy and just that whole nother side of me that just kind of burst open after
Yeah.
this.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Oh, well, I mean, I'm so glad that you made it through. That was
Yeah.
yeah, no one ever wants to hear that their friend's gonna potentially die, but um, well,
There was a Facebook group that existed before where many people were that are my friends were already in it. Not all, but it was kind of like I had to make sure that everybody's personalities clicked. But I got to go back and read over 400
oh man.
messages going back and forth, the updates.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that they were talking about me, but not on social media because my
Right.
husband's private as well.
Yeah.
And they just kind of wanted to make sure they knew what was going to happen before they posted anything, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to see all the updates and scary stuff. I mean, they
Yeah.
talked about my blood pressure dropping, and
Right.
yeah, it was just wild. But having those updates actually kind of helped me process.
Oh, that's great.
Mhm.
That's very
It wasn't
cool.
all over the phone. It was
Yeah.
written. I could read it.
Yeah. Yeah. I should go back and look at my text thread with Jen and see, and I'll forward you some of ours. We did talk on the phone a lot, but there was like daily, how's Melissa? What's happening?
Yeah.
Um, and gosh, I know so many people were praying, and I was definitely praying daily and just begging God for, mercy on your behalf. And
Well, that's why I lived, and
yeah,
I'm not gonna take it for granted that I survived that. Um, like I said, life is purposeful now.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure it also, having teenage daughters is tricky, but I know that put some perspective with your
Yes.
relationships with them for, what's important and what's not.
Well, my teenager that normally goes when I say I love you, she goes ew. That's her response because that's normal.
Right.
Um, but she did not want to visit me a lot in the
Yeah.
hospital or the rehab center or the care center. Um, it reminded her of a stay that she had that was like an inpatient stay. So she didn't like hospitals.
Yeah.
But she did have a card that she gave to me, and it was like another child speaking.
Mm.
It was
Yeah.
just, Mom, I'm so glad that you're alive, and I am so thankful for all the things that you let us do, and she said you're the strongest person I know, and I'm so proud of you. And then she drew me a picture of an otter, which are my favorites. So
Yeah. Oh.
yeah, it was like, oh, my loving daughter is still in there,
Yeah.
encased in this very
Yeah.
grumpy exterior.
Normal teenager stuff. She'll get past it. But I'm glad that that put in perspective for her, that she loves you so much and yeah.
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 She won't admit it
Of
normally,
course
but yeah,
not, but
yeah, that's
that's okay.
normal.
Yeah.
No, and it's actually made things a little bit closer with my husband in a way too.
Hmm.
Yeah, the struggle is real. Don't get me wrong. There are some very hard days.
Yeah.
Um, but we went through marriage boot camp, man. Like
Yeah.
this, and we've got some custody stuff with his daughter's mom, and like we're just like, all right, well, been through almost dying, so this will be fine.
Right. Anything after this will be like smooth
Yeah.
sailing.
Yeah, we've
I'm
had to
so
have
glad that you
talks.
guys got to go on a beautiful honeymoon before this
Oh,
all happened.
me too. Like I've
Yeah.
never been on a honeymoon, and I was like, this is so cool. And we got to go to the on a cruise. We went to Ensenada and saw his dad who lives there.
Oh, cool.
Catalina Island. It was, we really, really couldn't afford it, but I'm glad that we made the choice to do it
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that was our moment.
Right. Right.
But it's also, since this has happened so early on, it's made us have some very uncomfortable conversations very quickly that need to happen in marriages, but usually
Yeah.
start happening later down the line.
Yeah.
So when I say marriage boot camp, I mean boot camp.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good. Um, I'll be, I was praying for your husband for a while, but with all of it happening, just well, with you and him but I'll be praying for him just that he works through it all with and that, comes to a deeper relationship with the Lord and works through all of that. The anger, I understand it. I get it.
It's
Um,
part of grief. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, for sure. But again, I'm so glad you have him.
me too.
Yeah.
I kind of like him. I think I'm going to keep him around for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much just for, being open and telling your story. And, my goal is just to put all these different stories of how God uses the things that just the enemy throws at us or that happen and can really turn it around and use it for his glory and for our good. And um,
Amen.
I know there's people out there that will be encouraged by this. So I appreciate your coming on and sharing.
Of
I'm so glad you're
course.
alive.
Me too.
Thanks for joining us today and listening as we are exploring all the ways that God takes the things the enemy means for evil and turns them around to use them for our good and His glory. If you have questions, comments, feedback, ideas for us, or you just want to say hi, you can reach us at noweaponshallprosperpodcast@gmail.com. Talk to you again soon.